despite multiple attempts, Todd McFarlane's Spawn never seemed to have much luck outside of the pages of comic books. Whether it was the 1997 film, or the long line of critically mauled video game tie-ins, these outings failed to do justice to the anti-hero. 2000's In the Demon's Hand bore potential to break this trend. With a prime Capcom at the helm, and Sega's Naomi hardware powering it, the arcade brawler would make its way to Dreamcast the following year, seemingly melding Power Stone with McFarlane's comic icon. While it's rather shallow fare, Capcom's effort proves a violent and oddball game with some of the strangest unlockable characters out there, even for a comic book game, giving it some legs to stand on, and making for perhaps the best Spawn game at the time, albeit somewhat by default. In the Demon's Hand is a brawler bearing some similar traits to Power Stone, though it's very much its own beast. Taking place in a handful of distinct arenas, ranging from a back alley to hell itself, players can choose from more than 30 characters and do battle in a variety of modes, the rules of which vary. Boss attack sees you fight a gauntlet of villains from the comic, either alone or with either other players or CPU, as you deal with spawning minions as well. These are timed, and deaths result in time penalties rather than failure. Team Battle pits two characters against another team, with the most points resulting in victory, and Battle Royale is like a fatal four-way, with the winner earning the most points. Arcade lets multiple players join in these modes, while Tournament lets you fight against a series of CPU. It's a fine assortment of modes, with nothing particularly outstanding. Hallelujah! Spawn benefits from one of the most diverse, oddball rosters in fighting history. As you complete Arcade with certain characters, a slew of unlockable fighters become available. These include several versions of Spawn, as well as popular side characters such as Sam and Twitch, Cogliostro and Clown. These prove strange enough, but on top of that, several of the grunts who aid the bosses can also be unlocked and usable in every mode. Be it a wolf, angelic figures, mafiosos, and almost all of the bosses themselves too, which, just to make things weirder, feature a giant metal ape called Cygor. The cool part of this insanity is that every character bears unique attacks, weapons to start and traits, with the larger bosses proving lumbering but powerful. Fans of the comic should be well satisfied, but with such an assortment of oddities, it also has appeal for those on the outside. Unfortunately, Spawn in the Demon's Hand is too shallow a fighter to present any substantial longevity for solo players. While characters do come with different weaponry, and other items can be found during combat, there's no combo system in place, and fights often boil down to a similar routine. Attack the enemy until they are knocked down, they retaliate thanks to a slight invincibility period, and you return the favour. It becomes pretty rote quickly. The inclusion of Power Stone-esque gems, which increase speed, defence and offence, but are dropped upon being struck, don't really factor in enough to make a meaningful improvement. While there's novelty in exploring all of the ludicrous characters you can unlock, the lack of variation or depth in combat renders these qualities somewhat mute. The easy to learn systems do give it some quick play appeal, and the action is gory and riotous enough to make multiplayer pretty fun, but it doesn't stack up to the best of the system.
You will destroy your enemy now.
In the Demon's Hand does benefit from technical prowess, proving another fantastic arcade port under the Dreamcast's belt in terms of power. The action never chugs, despite chaotic sequences including dismemberment, blood fountains and explosions. Characters look nicely detailed, environs are varied and multi-layered, and destructible elements only add to the action. It also effectively brings Todd McFarlane's comic to 3D, looking rather good in the process. The sound is a bit less successful, with a handful of small, metal-infused tracks lacking much distinction, and the occasional voice snippet proving unremarkable, bar maybe the announcer's demonic cackles. The sound effects are appropriately grungy, with gruesome decapitations and explosive action meshing with sword slices and gunfire. It's chaotic, but not always successful. While it's certainly not the best fighting game out there, Spawn in the Demon's Hand proves a bit of a guilty pleasure, and one of the few games to do some semblance of justice to its source material. Sure, the fighting game is pretty shallow, and there's not much longevity to it, but the outrageous roster, gory action, and multiplayer madness available give it far more credibility than the lesser games to come from Todd McFarlane's comic. While solo players may tire of this one quickly, if you're looking for a decent substitute between multiplayer bouts of Power Stone and Marvel vs. Capcom, this manic fighting game should be just the ticket.